We are still in the Arctic Ocean. There are a lot of mosquitoes. And I'm picking Arctic Fireweed, so the blossoms, and I'm gonna make, once we get to Anchorage at our daughter's, I'm gonna make some fireweed jalapeno jelly. We're at Galbraith Lake Campground, BLM, about 140 miles from the end of the Dalton Highway. I'm just picking only the blooms. Some people even pick out the stamens and only get the petals, but that seems a little hardcore to me. Most people say you don't have to be that hardcore. I'm only picking 1 or 2 per stem, but you can see that these have a ton of buds that haven't even opened. So even if I picked all the blossoms, they would still come back next year because there's so many more blooms. Yeah, I'm gonna put my head net on. I just need about 1 more cup and I'll have enough. I wanted to pick these last year, but we were just out of season for them by the time I really was into it. They had stopped blooming. Oh, jeez. Can't stand very long or else the mosquitoes attack you. And horse flies, look at that. Oh, it's gone now. So you just gotta bend, pick, move on, and hope they don't go in your back while you bend over. I'm covered in 100% DEET and a fair amount of off. I don't even care, they still land right on my hands, right on my face. So I haven't seen in the foraging group that people use Arctic dwarf fireweed, but I think that's because not that many people come up here. So I've verified it several times using an app and Google, a flower app and a Google, and I think they are the same as regular fireweed, so it shouldn't poison anyone.
Maybe if you could tell us what you're doing.
These are fireweed blossoms, and I'm harvesting maybe like 1/3 of a plant, no more than that. And I'm going to use the blossoms to make some fireweed and jalapeno jelly.
I think we knew from already that you were harvesting, but several times the last few weeks you've said you're done and you have enough. So maybe if you could help us understand why you're out here again.
Why are you hitting me up on camera?
Just asking the question that people aren't going to ask.
Well, because look at them. Like before, I harvested them within the Arctic Circle, and they were dwarf fireweeds, and it took a long time to get just a few. But here in this huge patch, if I take like 1/4 to 1/3 of blossoms from each plant, it doesn't hurt the plants at all. They have plenty of blossoms to grow next year, and I'll make a beautiful jelly. So you can see how these are growing. Over here, this is how much of summer is left. So people say that these start at the bottom blooming and then they go up. And so when it gets up here, the blossoms get up here open, there's no more summer left. So we have a little bit of summer left to go in the interior of Alaska. I think we are about 100 miles south of Fairbanks. Maybe not that far. We're north of Denali along the highway too. And we stayed here last year. It's a old gravel pit. So there's like 4 lakes that used to be gravel pits. So it's beautiful. Like last year we saw otters or beavers or something swimming in the lakes. Last night we heard wolves howling. So that kind of reminded us of being at our daughter Danielle's house. They have wolves in the green space behind their house. So yeah, that's where we are. Here are my firewood blossoms.
What?
Fireweed blossoms. Did I say firewood?
Yes.
Fireweed blossoms. So some people get real technical and they say, well, one person said to take off these dark ones, but everybody else said don't bother it. So I'm not going to bother it. So in here I have about 7 hard pressed cups of fireweed blossoms and 3 1/4 cups of water. I'm going to boil it for a while. I'm going to make a fireweed tea, and then it's going to come out looking like this. Isn't that the most gorgeous color ever? So I don't know, I should have measured this before I put it in. That looks like about almost 2 cups to me. I'll measure it once it thaws out again, but altogether I think I need 4 cups. So I'm definitely going to have enough in here to get 4 cups and make some jelly. Maybe if I have enough left of the tea, I'll make a simple syrup and try to make like a cosmopolitan or fireweed martini or something out of it. So, alright, now I'm going to cook these down 10 minutes. Then I'm going to let them steep in the pot of water overnight, covering them so the mosquitoes don't get them. And then tomorrow I'll put some in this bag, I'll strain it, and then some in another bag and put it in the freezer until I get to Anchorage. Ooh, look at that. You can see it already is taking its color out. It's going to be kind of a weird color, and then you add lemon juice and it comes back to a beautiful color. One batch tasted sweet that I made, one batch tasted bitter, so I freaked out, and then I read all the Facebook comments and it said don't worry, you'll be fine. It's fine, don't worry. I have this batch to drain, so I'm going to put a bag in a jar just so it has somewhere to go easily. Get my trusty strainer and pour it right in. I got an extra hand helping me out, but then I'll just bring these down. It's still really purple, so I'm just going to pour a little bit more water over the top. Whoops, I kind of went crazy. See how it's still coming out fairly purple. It said you could do this in the instructions. Don't judge me. I am spilling quite a bit though. You could judge that. You can use cheesecloth if you want to use cheesecloth. This is just easy. So I used a mesh strainer. I might, right now I'm just freezing all of this, and then I will make the jelly next week when we get to our daughter's house. And I might strain it again through a cheesecloth then, if it seems like it's a little cloudy. So, that's it. And it's just pretty simple. It's quite purple. Once I add lemon juice, when I'm ready to make the jelly, it will be pink again. I'm squeezing out as much air as I can. And then I'll put it in the freezer. Now we're making fireweed jelly. Fireweed and jalapeno. Now I'm going to cut up 2 jalapenos. Put in there. We're going to bring it to a boil. And then we're going to steep it for 8 minutes. And then we're going to strain it. And that will be like a jalapeno infusion. But you won't get a seed in your jelly. Nobody wants a jalapeno seed in their jelly. So, that's what we're doing. In the meantime, Connor is prepping our sugar, our pectin, so that when it's time to make the jelly, we're ready to go. First, Connor steeped 1 jalapeno in 2.5 cups. Is that right? Yeah. Of fireweed tea. So we steeped it for like 10 minutes to get a jalapeno flavoring. Strained it off. Now we just added his pectin, lemon juice to get our pink color back, and butter to keep the foam down. Once that comes to a boil, we'll start adding our sugar. Connor already measured it out. It's ready to go. So we'll just have to add it a little at a time. Bring it to a boil. So turn it on 8. Or turn it on high, I think. Okay, so Connor is stirring up Arctic Circle fireweed tea, and that's what I picked at Galbraith Lake, which is about 100 miles from the Arctic Ocean, 140 miles from the Arctic Ocean. So I'm keeping that batch separate so that we know our Arctic Circle fireweed jelly. And then I'll time it for 1 minute. I don't think it's quite there. Do you?
No, not quite.
Oh, look at that. Look at the color. It's awesome. Okay, here's our timer. Okay, just a tiny, tiny little scoop. Or maybe not. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now move that to that burner.
Yep.
Freezer test to see if our jelly is how we like it. There. We're going to give it 5 minutes in there, then we're going to take it out, and we're going to see if it's the consistency that Connor approves of. So it's only been 2.5 minutes, but we could see our pan, it's really gelling up. So we took this out, and it's jelly. Ooh, it's spicy. So we're going to go ahead and jar it. Okay. Yeah, it's already gelling up in clumps, see it?
Yep.
Yeah. Take it back up,
Oh, yeah.
and tip out just a little. There you go. Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, perfect. Fireweed jelly tasting time. Let's dig in. So, picked fireweed blossoms, made the jelly. I got about 8 jars of jelly from, I'm calling it General Alaska. And then I got 4 jars of fireweed blossoms from within the Arctic Circle. Technically, those were dwarf fireweed. I don't know if it's going to taste different. We'll see. So, let's open a jar. the sound we like. So you can see the color is really pink. It's quite pink, maybe a tinge of purple. And this is actually fireweed and jalapeno jelly. We are trying it on crackers with goat cheese. So I'm just putting a little bit, and we'll see how we like it. I got a little too much goat cheese, so it's a little hard to speak. I probably could have put a little bit more jalapeno, actually. You get a nice sweetness of the fireweed, which they don't really have a huge amount of flavor. It's not like you're going to get a big strawberry punch or raspberry punch for those types of jelly. This is more of a subtle flavor. It just tastes like a sweet jelly. I like to kick a jalapeno in that. Honestly though, for the amount of work from harvesting and then making the jelly, I don't know that it's any better than any other just plain sweet jelly. I like saying I foraged it, the fireweed blossoms, and I like saying that, you know, some of the jars that'll give away came from within the Arctic Circle. That's pretty cool, and kind of a fun twist on giving jelly as a house gift, or house, what do I say? Whenever we go to boondock in somebody's driveway, I like to give them something. So giving them some fireweed jelly from within the Arctic Circle is a kind of cool thing. Biscuit with jelly. Homemade biscuits. Steve made them for dinner. The biscuits are delicious on their own, so let's try it with the fireweed jelly. It's much better than with the cracker and goat cheese, because you get the full flavor of the jelly. I like it a lot. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, this is so cool. It's tasting time. And what you don't know is that this is about the 5th fucking take.